Hey everyone, welcome to A Day in the Life of a Sports Physical Therapist. My name is Brian Schwabe, board-certified sports physical therapist, entrepreneur, and co-founder of the Student Physical Therapist. I've worked with elite athletes for over a decade and currently serve as the director of Iowa Sports Therapy, working side by side with high-performance coaches, NFL and NBA skills trainers, and sports agents on a daily basis. I'm also an author, sports medicine consultant, course creator, speaker, and counselor sports physical therapist, traveling with professional athletes and celebrities. The purpose of these short segments are to help you learn about what it's really like to work in a sports physical therapy setting alongside high performance coaches, sports agents, skills trainers, and professional athletes. I'll provide you with actionable tips every single week as I take you through a day in the life of a sports physical therapist. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back to another day in the life of a sports physical therapist. This week's tip is be as objective as possible when communicating with strength and conditioning staff. So what do I mean by that? Well, I work side by side every day with strength and conditioning staff. And when we're transitioning athletes from the rehab setting into the performance setting, or working directly together with that, both the rehab and the performance setting, the best strategy that I found is being as objective as possible when giving data and passing it on to the strength and conditioning staff. Now, there's a couple different reasons why you want to do that, but the primary reason is so that the athlete knows that you guys are on the same page. So let's say I'm returning someone back to running, for example. Let's say I've had them go through their Ultra G progression. I'm going to be giving that data to the strength and conditioning staff. So I'm going to be telling them, hey, this particular athlete has gotten up to 85% on the Ultra G. We've been doing intervals, 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, speeds from 6.0 to 8.0 miles per hour. We've built up for up to 10 minutes. We've been doing this for the last 2 weeks. Every single week's got better with body weight percentages. We kept the speed the same, but we've been doing the same intervals all the way through. Now that particular strength and conditioning coach says, okay, so I know what their miles per hour have been. I know what they built up body weight wise. I know what their tissue exposure has been like for the last 2 weeks, where we've been building up a small, acute, chronic workload. But more importantly, now they have something objective to work off of. But I'm also not going to just give them that. I'm going to give them what I call a stoplight system. So that's what I'm using on a daily basis and a weekly basis with the strength staff. So that can be very, very objective and give recommended intensities, durations, give exposures of what they've been doing. There's a lot of deep dive that I go into this on our Insider Access page for the stoplight system. So if you want that information, go ahead and check that out. But the stoplight system helps me give those strength and conditioning staff members the ability to understand what they've done so that they can also give me some recommendations on their back end as well. So let's say that, they get them back out to running. They know what they've been up to miles per hour now, right? So now let's say they're starting to build into some of their speed training and start to do some flies. Well, they're using technology because they're using their Dyna speeds and things like that. So they can measure the miles per hour these guys are getting up to. So they can say, hey, Brian, they got up to 11 miles an hour today. Or, hey, Brian, their 10-yard split was 1.2. This is where it needs to be. It needs to be 1.0, 1.05, right? In a couple weeks, all right? This was how they responded to it. These are how many reps we did. So it plays back and forth. And what that does then is it allows your decision-making process to be a lot more objective when you're trying to actually truly return back to the performance side of things, which is probably the hardest part, but also the most important part when you're working with elite athletes. Now, furthermore, we can take these same things and they can give me feedback on how they responded and give me recommendations so that I can continue my rehab with that particular individual in between their performance sessions. And honestly, that's probably the most important thing when working with strength and conditioning staff, is that you have a seamless transition back and forth. So you have more of that, what I call shared consciousness for decision making. And again, the purpose is always to help the athlete to the best of your ability. And that's why it's so important to give that objective data. So that's your tip for this week's Day in the Life of a Sports Physical Therapist. If you like these short segments, check out and subscribe to our YouTube page on the Student Physical Therapist so you can have notifications every single time one of these are put up. Otherwise, check us out on our Student Physical Therapist website. See you next week.